Hey, I'm Andy, and welcome to Rock, Roll, and Red Plaid.
Please enjoy Mr. Jeremy Colson on drums.
Tonight on Rock, Roll, and Red Plaid, my guest is drummer Jeremy Colson. Having played with Steve Vai, Billy Idol, Sebastian Bach, and many more, he clearly knows his way around the kit. But in addition to the music, Jeremy is here for a much bigger reason, one very close to his heart. Let's get to the show and find out what it is. Alrighty, we are here back at it again with the Rock, Roll, and Red Plaid podcast here with joining us from under the whatever type tree that is. I was going to be poetic, but I don't know what type of tree that is. Jeremy Colson, how are you, brother?
Good, man. How are you doing?
Good. Hey, I just wanted to say this came up rather quickly, so thank you for being so transparent and open about coming on the show. This is just really a pleasant surprise, you know?
Well, I'm, you know, doing some things in my life right now that I'm trying to make people aware of, and there's a kind of have a bit of a purpose-driven life right now with some things that I am doing and want to share and get more people aware of, I guess you could say.
Mm. Uh, if you want to dive straight in, feel free. But I do also have some questions if you want to go on those first. But if you want to jump right in, feel free, my guy.
Yeah, we could do questions first. That's fine.
Yeah, just because I was just gonna say the first time I became aware of you and your playing was the Crossroads DVD with Steve Vai. I think when that was recorded, I was just starting to play guitar. I was in 2004. I was 10 at the time. I just turned 30 this past day.
Jeez, I'm old.
No, 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 my guy. You look good. You look good.
I'm 46, man. Wow.
Nah,
Okay.
nah, you're okay, my guy. But it really kind of made me aware that to me, drummers are just as much athletes as they are musicians. I mean, you not only had the
Yeah.
power, but the restraint and power and restraint at the same time is something really that top drummers I seem to have, and you likewise have that as well. Um, where does that really come from? Like, I guess it's a formal type of training of sorts, or how did that work for you?
Well, I think I'm a number one. I'm a very hyper person, so like I have a lot of energy, and then I've always been a very active person.
Mm,
Um, whether it was when I was a kid, I was running and skateboarding
mm,
and you know doing stuff in the water, swimming and lots of stuff.
sure.
Um, and then I also, like discovered Ozzy Osbourne when I was like 7 years old, and he became my superhero. He was like the guy that I used to draw his tattoos on me and stuff. And he was. It's funny, like most kids, their hero is like Superman or something like that. But like I discovered Ozzy Osbourne, and keep in mind, I went to a Catholic school for 5 years, so I was
Oh
in
no.
Catholic school, and I discovered Ozzy Osbourne, and you know, and I was hyper. So you put
Hmm.
all those together, and I guess it made for something. And then I just I think everybody their personality when they play an instrument usually comes out somehow if they're really in tune with it. And I guess uh, since for me I'm a kind of hyper emotional person
Mm,
with a lot of energy. The way I play is it's I've always the physical aspect of drumming
mm,
is really really important to me. And that's one of the things that I love about it, because I love being active. So,
Right.
playing drums, uh, with like playing a Steve Vai show for 2.5 hours a night with an hour sound check. It's I love it, because I'll go running in the day before we do all that too. I just got
Nice.
tons of energy.
Yeah, I mean, hyper, hyper, I forget the phrase you used, hyper, not hyper emotional, but really aware of different things. I can definitely relate to that myself.
Yeah.
It just you feel things in a certain way, and it like even when listening to some of your favorite songs, if the hair on the back of your neck raises up, it's like some people don't get that, and I don't understand why people don't get that.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe that's just me.
well, it's weird. That's what music is. I was thinking about that the other day. That's what why music is so special,
Yeah.
uh, and why it's such a it is something that heals people.
Mm,
I mean, whatever. I can think of all the times in my life, all the things that I've been through, and whatever I'm going through emotionally. There's music that I listen to help me connect to the emotions I'm feeling.
yeah.
Some people, music is just put it on the car and it's like whatever, they don't think about it. But
Mm,
for me, like I'm always on the search to find something to find music that goes to my soul
totally.
somehow, and it again makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. That
Totally. I
I've
agree.
always felt that about that, and that's what makes people. That's the creative part. That's the aspect of you know expressing your emotions and relating to songs with the if lyrics relate to something you're going through,
Mm.
whatever it may be. Sorry, there's a helicopter going over.
I can barely hear it. You're good.
Really? I'm in Los Angeles, so you're gonna hear a lot of helicopters.
That's all good. I mean, I
So
just
yeah,
heard. Yeah. Well, no, you're good. No problem. Um, you were telling me about a marathon you're running soon.
yes.
Let's dive into that. What are the details on that, my guy?
Okay, so on October 6th, I'm going to be running the Long Beach Marathon,
Hmm.
and I am doing it, and I am doing it sponsored by an organization called the Scars Foundation. Now, the Scars Foundation is an organization that was created um, by Sully Yarna for Godsmack, and it basically uh, it deals with it's a nonprofit organization that helps people with mental illness, addiction, bullying, things like that, and it's kind of it's an important thing in my life right now, because I have struggled with all of those things throughout my life. I've struggled with addiction. I'm very open about it right now on my Instagram and Facebook, and uh, the challenges that I'm going through right now and the things that are happening in my life. So for me, I wanted to set a goal um, to run a marathon, but I also wanted to do it. I had always been interested in the Scars Foundation,
Hmm.
because some organizations just deal with addiction, some just with mental health, but this has support from music cares,
Yeah.
from the American suicide prevention.
Mm,
So it's trying to make people aware of, and I see it a lot in the music business, mental illness and addiction and things that people have felt like they can't talk about, or maybe um, they're
mm,
ashamed of. And it's really important for me to let people know that it's okay. Part of the scars thing is like whatever you've gone through, it's okay to talk about. You show your scars.
right.
Um, and I'm certainly going through a period of my life that's I'm having to look at a lot of uh, issues that I've had and a lot of things. I mean, I've been touring for the last 3 years,
Hmm.
and I also went through a divorce, and um, I have a family history of some mental illness and addiction, and
Hmm.
I've just, it's been a struggle.
Yeah.
It really is, and when you hold it in and you don't talk about it or you don't get help for it, um, then it eventually is going to come out somehow,
Yeah.
um, especially if you're in pain. So for me, going back into treatment, coming out, and being in the process of being in a program right now,
Yeah.
and getting better. My goal with any type of social media or anything like that is to bring awareness to all this stuff, because I've, there's too many people that don't make it, you know, and they're
Right.
in so much pain, and they don't make it.
Right.
So the Scars Foundation, you can go to scarsfoundation.org. That's all it
Hmm.
is.
Yep.
And you can go, and people can, I just want to get people to donate to the organization, to spread the word about mental illness and addiction, and some of the things that we all struggle with. So I'm really excited about that. I'm training for it, and so
Yeah.
it's October 6th. It's the Long Beach Marathon. So that's what I got going.
Perfect. I will make sure this goes out before then, and also I'll put the link in the description for when I put this out
Great,
to Scars Foundation for sure.
excellent.
Um, Now, going along with this, I have to preface this isn't a plug because people know I put this out, but this is a book I did about
Oh,
um,
nice.
about basically what it's like to live with bipolar disorder, which is what I have, and
Yeah,
some of my lyrics are in there. Some of my just they're all kind of short stories and stuff, but they're all true and just journal entries and stuff. Like I said that I'm not I'm not plugging it. I'm just saying that's people know it's
no,
there, but it's like
I'm
that
glad
like
you did that.
I'm going along with like what you were saying about like really put it out there and really show it for what it is.
Yeah, and I always feel like, so much social media. It's everybody wants to come across like they got their life together and everything's great. And they got no problems, and they're doing this. I get this gig. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. And a lot. I know that can affect other people reading social media, because what happens is
Mm.
other people look and they're struggling with something, and then they just feel like, well, why does my life suck? Why do I have to deal with this? And so being open about whatever you have that you may feel is something that's like that that you're that makes you different, um I think is so important to talk about. And I think it's great that you have a book like that you're open about bipolar disorder, because bipolar disorder is it is a real thing, and it's really tough, and it's um
It's I've
it
called it
it's
I've called it consistently inconsistent is what it
yeah,
is.
yeah,
That's a nervous laugh, Jeremy. That's because it's true. It's very, you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
it
And
is.
there's a lot of people that I think still kind of, when they hear that, they'll just say, well, just, it's like when somebody tells you, just don't worry about it, or you're going to be okay. Or just like when you're in states of mental anguish, whether it's you're feeling hyper or you're feeling super depressed,
Mm,
um, finding the right people to talk to and that
mm,
understand is so important,
yeah.
because when you don't, you hold it inside and it will come out in other ways.
Right.
And it's just like having diabetes or anything else. It's like we
Yeah.
have these things and we have to take care of them, and we don't have to be ashamed
Yeah.
to talk about them at
Right.
all.
Yeah. I mean, I was just speaking. We're going back to speaking about the music that gets us. Like I said, the goosebump effect.
Yeah,
There was a friend of mine who took her own life almost about 10 years ago at this point, and there's a handful of
sorry.
songs that I still can't listen to, but there are still songs I go to when
Yeah,
I think about her, and that really becomes a good thing. And it's that's in the
yeah,
book
I,
too,
I
talk.
understand that.
Yeah.
That's good,
And
and I'm sorry about your friend, and you know, mentioning that is important because you know, the suicide thing it's a lot of people have a lot of shame, or they're scared to talk about that, and
Mm.
people that have been in situations where, you know, anybody that says like, why would they do that, they had everything going for them, it makes you realize that it's a real thing, you know. Just because somebody on the outside, if you look at these people, if you look at Chester,
I was just gonna
if
say,
you look at
Chester. I was
if you
just gonna
look at
say,
Chris
yeah,
Cornell, if
yeah,
you look at Robin Williams, if you look at these people, you think on the outside, wow, they got everything going. But when you're trapped in something in here,
mm-hmm.
this mental prison,
Yeah,
it doesn't
no,
matter what you have on the outside. And a lot of
yeah,
people, there's people that aren't sympathetic to that,
right,
and that really bothers me because
yeah,
I know what it's like to feel so low that you don't want to go on. I know what it feels like,
yeah,
and it sucks.
yeah,
And if we don't have sympathy for that, and we don't say, hey, there's ways that we can, there are
yeah,
things that we can do to do this, that can help people and can give people hope,
yeah,
then
yeah,
that's the greatest thing, because we don't
yeah.
need to lose more people.
No. You know, it's funny. I was just gonna say, Chester. You know, just when you think
Yeah,
of, I don't know how much of the lyrics of those Linkin Park songs he wrote, but when you think about some of those lyrics, they hit even harder now. Now that you realize, like,
yeah,
think of the lyrics of "In the End."
yeah. And that's what I love that song. And
Beautiful
it's
song.
true. I mean, yeah, we don't realize, because some, you know, again,
Hmm.
everybody thought he was fine. You know,
No.
there's videos of him, and it was like everything's cool. So we don't know about that, and part of that is people feel like when they're in that, they need to kind of like keep it inside, and they can't
No.
talk about it.
Yeah.
And so or they, what I did is they medicated with, you know, alcohol and drugs,
Right.
and then that becomes your solution to feeling to dealing with the pain that you're feeling inside. But eventually that doesn't work, and
Yeah.
you have to just, there's other ways that we can help people.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's I love that that's the stuff that keeps you going. I think that's the answer to a question before I even got to ask it really, because it just really that's what keeps us moving, you know, but getting more
Yeah,
people to understand it, you know.
yeah,
Um, are there going shifting just a little bit, who
yeah,
to a little more on the music side, who was one of
sure.
the drummers who really got you to start playing when you were younger? Who were the guys for you?
Okay, so because I started it when I was 10 years old,
Hmm.
and I really liked, I was real, like I said, I was really into heavy metal, and I was really into Ozzy. So Randy Castillo,
Oh,
who was Ozzy's drummer at the time,
yeah.
obviously Lars, Dave Lombardo from Slayer,
Hmm.
because I liked a lot of that.
Hmm.
But what, again, and a lot of people know this about me, if they know me, that, you know, once I was 15 and I discovered Rush,
Mm.
then I discovered my role model. I discovered
Mm.
my hero. I discovered the person that I wanted. I mean, when I discovered Neil,
Mm.
uh, it changed my life for the better. You know,
Mm.
not just on the drumming side, but who he was as a human being. You know,
Mm.
he used, before he rode motorcycles to each gig, he would ride his bicycle, and he would travel. You know, and he wrote all the lyrics.
Yeah.
And he was somebody that talked about feeling like an outcast. And all of these
Yeah.
things are exactly how I felt when
Right.
I was 15.
Yeah.
And that's when I started. I got a road bike. I started cycling
Yeah.
because of Neil. Um, the way he played drums, like
Yeah.
I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now had it not been for him and the influence he had.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
so that was, that was number one.
Yeah.
And then springing off that, guys like Mike Portnoy,
Mm.
Mark
I've met
Zonder
Mike.
from Fates Warning. He's a friend of mine. He's a
Funny,
great dude.
funny dude.
Yeah. And, like the progressive guys
Mm.
that was in the beginning when
Hmm.
I was a teenager, it was the progressive guys. And then
Yeah.
as I started to get a little bit older, I started to get a little bit more into uh, the rock guys. Like I liked Tommy Lee because he, like for me, I have so much energy, and I wanted to just. I got into this one point where I was like, I wasn't as interested in the progressive side of drums.
Mm.
I wanted to be more like a rock drummer. And
Song
so,
drummer, kind of.
yeah, and I really got into like punk rock,
Hmm.
and I started to just kind of go in that direction.
Mm.
So I've kind of my goal in my drumming has always been to to kind of be able to play some things that are technical, but to have a real solid rock drummer aspect to it.
Right. My a friend of mine is a huge fan of the Dead Kennedys, and I know recently just
Yeah,
D.H. Peligro just passed, just within the last, I'd say, year and a half ish, I think.
yeah,
And I'm only starting to get into him just because of my friend there. And my goodness, what a powerhouse drummer he was! Like for real,
yeah.
like those
He's great.
rolls were
Yeah.
just insane.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like when I started getting into the punk drummers, I'm like, dude, these guys, like the stamina that you have to have, and
Yeah.
how like it is. I was fascinated, and so I started to incorporate, you know, in my drumming, like in my drum solos with Vi and stuff. I started to incorporate the fast punk beat.
Yeah.
And and I really I liked that because it was different in that kind of genre of music.
Mm.
But and I like punk rock because there's an attitude and it's not perfect. You
Mm.
know, it's hard to like playing with someone like Steve Vai. The perfection is something that you're
Right there.
always striving for.
Yeah, aspiring
But
to,
like,
yes.
yeah, but for me, like what I consider perfection is just being like, just man, I'm gonna do whatever, man. I'm just gonna hit as hard as I want and just go for it, like
Yeah, yeah.
have that rebellious attitude.
Yeah. I've even, again, going in the original recording of Holiday in Cambodia.
Yeah,
I noticed something. I don't know. It's very hard to tell, but if you got the right headphones, you can hear it. I guess they were recording it all in one go because there's no other reason
yeah,
why this wouldn't be left in. The opening line, I think it starts with "so." I think the opening line is "so," so you can hear. Um, oh my gosh, his name, Jello Biafra, him smacking his
yeah,
lips like so. And it's
yeah,
those little things that are just left in because there's no way else to get him out of there. You
yeah.
know?
And that's what I really love about older music, particularly like 'cause now
Yeah.
everything is like there's a lot of stuff that I like,
Hand kind of, I
but
guess.
when I hear it's just everything is so quantized and it's so programmed and it's so
Mm,
sampled. And um, that's one of the things I miss about uh, the older music is that there was more air to it. Everything is so like with Pro Tools now, it's so different.
yeah, it can get kind of cut and paste really fast. Um,
Totally.
yeah. I mean, I will admit, there are just because the albums I've been doing on my own, I don't have, well, I do have a space here for drums, but we're not ready to do live drums yet. So I've been not doing drum machines, or not drum machines, but like samples and stuff. I know, sorry.
Yeah.
But it's I'm trying to get them as loose and kind of almost semi off the beat as possible to make it sound a little
Sure.
more like you're in the goal is to sound like you're in the room with a band as
Yeah.
much as
Yeah.
possible.
But I mean, again, there's the the downside and the upside. The upside is that you could do all this stuff now, and you don't have to go to a studio,
No,
and you
yeah.
don't have to, like, you could do so much stuff from your house.
Do it
And
here,
I
you know,
think
up on
that's great. Yeah, and
up.
more music gets put out. There's more,
Yeah.
there's more artists that you hear about, and um, there's more content
Yeah.
that comes out, and I think that's great.
Yeah, because the end goal eventually, because we got a kid up on the third floor here, is and the kind of the whole band room is upstairs, is like to do the drums upstairs and then maybe do some of the guitars and bass upstairs and down here, and then to do the vocals upstairs.
Yeah,
Hopefully, hopefully within a year, that's my time frame to get everything because we just recently moved in here. So yeah.
yeah, that's cool, man. What it's always fun experimenting and
Yeah.
finding way. You never know how something's going to work, and
No,
that's
yeah.
what's fun about it.
Absolutely. Um, so it's October 6th, the
October
marathon?
6th is the
Beautiful.
marathon, the Long Beach Marathon for the Scars Foundation.
Alrighty. One last thing, uh, in this portion, to anyone, musician or not, who's struggling with addiction or mental illness, is there something specific you would want to say to those people who might be watching?
I would say that there are that you're not alone, that there's no reason to be ashamed, that uh, lots of people struggle with this, and there are lots of places that different types of organizations that offer help. And nowadays, it's very easy to go on the internet and find places. But the main thing is to just talk to somebody, because you know one of my favorite definitions of addiction, the opposite of addiction is connection. And
Hmm.
connection, I know for me, is one of the most important things. Like, I do a lot of things on my own, but you have to talk to people. You don't want to hold it in, and the more that you talk about it, um, the more likely you are to be willing to get help for it, and to try to heal from it. So connection, finding the people to talk to, being open about it. Don't be ashamed of any of it.
Jeremy, I don't think we could have ended any better. That was fantastic. This has been the Rock, Roll, and Red Plaid podcast, and we will see y'all soon. For more of my original content, visit my website, www.andyconley.com.